Welcome to the Weekly Social, folks. Everything Katy, Fulshear, Richmond, Texas. Today we have Travis Lairson with TL Consulting. Thank you so much for coming out today, Travis.
Thanks,
great to see you again.
You too. You too.
So, you do consulting work, so you do a lot with the local businesses. You see a lot of trends and stuff.
Yep.
What are you seeing in our local market right now?
So I think one of the things that we're seeing in the market, just in general, is the fact that people are starting to get a little bit more cautious about spend. And so they're starting to kind of think through the processes of the money that they're putting out, because they want to make sure that if the economy does end up in a downturn, that they're kind of reserved for that and ready for that. So we're seeing some trends in that. I always find it interesting that a lot of companies will then say, well, let's cut back on marketing. But my thought process is, if you were a restaurant owner and fewer people were walking by your restaurant, you wouldn't turn the light off just because fewer people were walking by. You would keep the light on so that people knew about you. And marketing is very much the same thing. So
agreed.
It's one of those things that we have to make sure that we keep on top of and keep pushing out. That it's just got to figure out how to do it in a more efficient, more effective, more cost-effective way to do.
Well, when the market pulls back, I actually spend more in a downturn. So as a company, that's exactly what we've done. We've amped up our marketing. And we're just trying to pull market share from the people that are retreating.
Right.
So it works against the retreaters versus marching forward.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. And one of the things that we find too is the entire process around loyalty programs. Loyalty programs tend to be cheaper than outright marketing, and they work better in downturns than outright marketing does. So, loyalty programs, anything like that, really is a form of marketing. People just don't necessarily think of it that way, and you've got to make sure that you turn it that way so it works correctly.
Well, you always want them to come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cheaper to keep them as a customer versus the client acquisition.
Yeah.
People aren't business owners or entrepreneurs. They don't understand that.
Yeah.
Of what it truly costs to acquire a new client. It's very taxing.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
It's very expensive. It's just the same as a business owner. When I coach business owners, one of the things that we talk about is attrition of employees. It's a lot more expensive to market to and recruit an employee and then have to train that employee than it is to make sure that the employees that you have feel valued, needed, necessary, and stay. And that becomes really a challenging part for some people. So,
that's one of my struggles, because I'm a broker owner of Redline Realty. Not to give myself a plug in, but it's all independent contractors.
Right.
So it's not W-2, and they can come and go, and you put a lot of time and effort into onboarding, training, and bringing people up to speed, and they're gone tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because you and I have talked before. You are a broker that is very good about making sure that your clients are first and foremost, as opposed to some other larger brokers that are out there. For them, it's a numbers game. If we hire 1,000 agents, every one of them is going to sell at least one house every once in a while. Right. They're making the money on it. From your perspective, it works much more efficiently and better as a boutique because you're smaller. You can make sure that your team is efficient and coalesces together well.
Yes. And
so you spend time and resources on making sure that your agents are the right agents and they're learning and growing and doing what they need to do to represent not only themselves but your business. And so
it's a rinse and repeat model. It's a process that we teach them. So whether they're using me or the lovely Missy that's going to join us here in just a second, it's going to be the same level of experience. Where when you go to other companies, you could get Sue Smith, you'll have one experience. John Smith, a total different experience, and that I think works against the brand versus working for the brand.
Right.
It's a turn and burn mindset versus a long game. Is how I look at it.
Absolutely. So it's similar. Missy, you maybe can answer this. It's not brow bar. What is the blowout?
Oh, it may be blowout bar.
Is it blowout bar?
Yeah.
So there's this concept across the country. It's blowout bar, something like that. I don't know. When you walk in there, you get the exact same experience every time you walk in there. It doesn't matter if you go to the one in New York, the one in Las Vegas, the one in Houston, the one in Katy, you get the exact same experience.
Yeah.
And I think that that is one of the reasons that they have such a cult following, is the fact that they get that same experience. If I go
Every
to a
single
larger
time.
broker, I'm not going to get that, because
It's that consistency. Yeah.
it is, absolutely. So, but yeah.
What else are you seeing out there in the industry right now? 'Cause I know you talk to all kinds of different businesses.
So I work a lot with real estate agents. I work a lot with trades, so plumbers, roofers, electricians, handymen, all of that type of stuff. Wealth
Service
advisors.
oriented type stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
And
that
those
stuff.
are all trades that are associated with real estate as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's all one big happy family.
Yeah, absolutely. I work a lot with wealth managers. I work a lot with doctors' offices and help them build and grow. One of the things that we're seeing, general trends, is a longer life cycle and a longer marketing cycle. So the time, if we flash back to January, February, we were seeing typically 2 or 3 conversations with a client to really get to the point of know, like, trust, and win. Now we're seeing somewhere between 8 and 12 conversations.
It's more of a courtship.
It's more of a courtship. And I really anticipate by the end of the year, we're probably going to be somewhere between 12 and 15 conversations. But those conversations are changing. That conversation doesn't necessarily mean it's a conversation the way that you and I think about it, where we actually have to be on the phone conversing or in a meeting or something like that. Part of it is they see you on social media, then they see you on a podcast, then they see you, and then you actually pick up the phone and have a conversation with them. Part of it is the concept of raise your hand marketing. How do we get them to raise their hand to say that they're interested, so that we can move them down the funnel? And how do we actually take your marketing and break it into individual pieces and parts, and break it down further than you actually think it can be broken down, and leverage each one of those parts and really work on getting them to say yes to that next step? Because after they start to say yes, they're starting to build knowledge of you, they're starting to like you, they're starting to trust you, and it becomes easier then to have that full conversation at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've moved from speed dating to, like Richard said, courtship.
Absolutely.
That's how we're getting our clients and
Absolutely.
our customers now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the other thing too is the fact that we've seen the trend for the last 10, 12 years, and that's not going to where people are doing their research online before they even get to you.
Yes.
So you probably see and experience people coming to you that are buyers, not necessarily sellers. Sellers, I'm sure, do it, and that causes an entirely different problem. But buyers do it where they're like, I want to see these 3 houses, and then they go look at those houses, and they're like, the pictures, those pictures aren't, nope.
They photoshopped.
Right, exactly.
It's like speed dating.
So I'm not the only one having that conversation with people. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, there is no sunset in Houston that looks like every picture on Zillow.
Yes.
No. And so it's a matter of doing that. People, and then how do you reset their expectations to reality?
Right.
And I always get frustrated. I have stopped watching HGTV mainly for the purpose of when I see the couple walk into a house and one of them, typically not the husband, will say, oh, I don't like the color of that wall, so this house is a bad house. It's freaking paint. Just paint it. It doesn't matter.
It's $20.
I know. It's more than 20. But, yeah. But still, it's like,
Yeah, it's like 60, 70 bucks
Yeah.
now. You're right.
yeah,
Oh
just
my God.
paint it. It'll be fine.
Yes.
But yeah, it's part of it is trying to reset expectations with reality, and so that's always a challenge. So
Well, in real estate agents, I mean, it doesn't happen in 30 minutes. You don't go out, walk into a house, they fall in love, you put your name on a contract, and you get paid 30 minutes later.
Right.
It's a process.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people that I work with, I've worked with for years, that they're slow cookers because it's large financial transactions.
Yeah. It is. For many people, it is the largest, it always is the largest transaction you'll probably ever make in your life. And that is daunting, specifically for the first time you go through it.
Sure.
I often think of it similar to pregnancy. I don't understand how women go through childbirth and then they're like, oh, I want to have another kid. And I think that it's like that. You kind of forget the pain of trying to have bought a house, and now you're like, okay, well, let's sell this one and buy another one. Okay.
Just enough time has passed.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's about realigning them, re-educating them, and doing that. I think one of the other trends that we're seeing right now is that there's a huge population of people that absolutely can and should buy homes, but somehow they've either conditioned themselves or been conditioned that they can't do it, they can't afford it, they can't. And so trying to figure out how to educate them so that they understand homeownership isn't as unattainable as you think it is.
Well, and the time to buy is now.
Yes.
You can get concessions. You can buy at or below market value.
Mm-hmm.
When interest rates drop, if they ever do,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to go back into bidding wars. So if you can't afford to buy the house today, you won't be able to afford to buy it when the rates drop.
So let me ask this: how long have you been in real estate?
Oh, one's when I first got licensed.
2001.
Okay. So that example's not going to work. When my parents bought their first house in
80s?
70s.
70s? Okay. You don't look that old.
Well,
I guess you are.
I was born in 79 and my parents were married before that. When they bought their first house, my dad will talk about the fact that their interest rate was 11.5%.
I want to say my parents, with one of their homes, it's probably around 18. It was back in the savings and loans crisis. Stuart. I mean, it was.
So,
and I think 16% was considered great interest at
Yeah,
that time.
I posted a graph about the interest rates historically over the last 45 to 50 years.
Right.
Because my parents bought in the early 80s at 18%.
yeah. And most of them did,
Yeah,
18%, 11%, whatever,
Yeah.
with points.
Yes.
Which when they talk to me about points, and I'm like, who, what, huh? Like nobody does points now. And so it's one of those things where our interest rate is significantly lower now than it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. And yet we are kind of at a standstill over a half a basis point increase in interest rates.
Absolutely.
It's we have to kind of realign and think, okay, the interest rates really aren't that bad.
What's interesting, when I put up that graph on social media, I had a number of people comment on it because I did post that my parents did buy in the earlier part of that graph in the early 80s when interest rates were at 18%. And I think, Richard, you commented, and some of my friends who had parents who purchased during that time period as well. And they were all like, you know what? They also sold within 4 or 5 years, and they made money on that purchase. And this is with buying at 11 to 15 to 18% at that time. So imagine if you do, just under 7% right now on a 30-year fixed. If you hold on to that home for just a few years, imagine what it's going to be worth.
So we bought our house. We're in Rosenberg. We bought our house in November of 2021. We had it.
We were in the COVID.
Yeah, we moved to Houston in June of 2020.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we didn't know our neighbors for the first 6 months that we lived there because everybody was still in their house. But when we started to get a complex about it, and then we realized it was because of COVID. When we bought our house, we had it surveyed the other day, and we already have $150,000 deposit equity in it, not because of the payments we've made. It would sell $150,000 over what we bought it for.
Oh, I can believe
And
that.
so,
over the course of 4 years.
yeah. And so, houses,
It's huge.
I don't think that necessarily everybody understands when you get to the Katys, when you get to the Fort Bend County areas of Houston, it is the second fastest growing county in the entire United States.
You're correct.
House values are going up. If you buy a house now, it will, without question, be worth more in a year, 2 years, 4 years. It absolutely will be.
And you can outrun inflation.
Yes.
I mean, people say, well, I'll put it in a CD and I'll get 4 or 5 points on my money. Your money grows mold there. You can't outrun inflation in a CD. Or when you put it in an appreciating asset. Now, I can't guarantee a profit because I'm a licensed broker, but I can talk historically. I mean, if you bought a $500,000, well, a $500,000 house 5 years ago, that house today is worth $800,000 to $1 million. And if I had $500,000 in the bank 5 years ago versus
It's
today,
not. Yeah.
it's worth less money.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I got the interest,
Yep. Yeah.
that 500 still doesn't have the same buying power.
Right. And it's the same. So, not to take money, cash buyers away, but it's also similar. So, my background, I used to work in the automotive industry, and I worked for BMW for a number of years, BMW Financial Services. and then I worked for Porsche for a number of years. And at Porsche, I was the head of brand for Bentley, Lamborghini, and Bugatti. And one of the biggest things.
Wait, that's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
Bentley, Lamborghini, and Bugatti. And so one of the things that we struggled with and talked a lot about is if you're out buying a $350,000 Bentley, a Mulsanne, most people think that you should just pay cash for that. But that was in 2013, 2014. Interest rates at that point in time were 1% and 2%.
Why would you tap that capital?
Right.
When you can get basically free money.
Exactly. You're getting free money. Don't pay cash for the car. Put that money in an interest-bearing account or in the stock market and take a loan out for 2%. You're much better ahead. And I don't think that people often think of that process.
Leveraging.
And even in housing, a lot of people, even if you have the money, you're in a better position, maybe not to do specifically with the stock market, but you're in a better position to invest those funds and take a loan out for the house in order to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when the stock market goes down, that tells me that everything's on sale right now. Where most people are like, oh God, it's crashing. No, it's not. It's on sale.
Yeah.
It's all mindset.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what brought you to Houston area?
So after I left the automotive industry, I was hired to be the director of operations for a fertility network, specifically designing insurance-like products for fertility patients.
Okay.
That company was in New York, and I worked for them. And then in the midst of the COVID pandemic and all that stuff, they were actually in the process of being acquired by a company that was based here in Houston. That company offered me a role here in Houston as a director of operations. And so we made the move to Houston in June of 2020, and we've been here ever since.
Well, welcome to Houston, Texas.
Every summer I think this is stupid. I want to move back to the Northeast, but
But here you are.
here we are. Yes.
But you don't shovel snow down here.
Yeah.
No, but snow isn't as bad as literally the devil's playground of 100%
It feels like Hill's
humidity.
front
Yes.
porch sometimes.
Yes, yes. And hurricane. Okay, we haven't had one yet, so I'll wait for that. But
Well,
yeah,
It's
Beryl.
still
yeah,
early.
that didn't count.
Still early.
Yeah, yeah. I think my biggest takeaway from Beryl was we either put our lawn furniture in the pool or the hurricane's going to put it in the pool. So either way, it doesn't matter. Like if you put it in the pool, it's not going to blow
The
anywhere.
furniture's going in the
In the
pool.
pool,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much. That was it.
You've
So
adapted. You're great.
exactly,
You're fine.
we're good. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's perfect.
Now, the way Travis and I met, we met a couple of years
Yep.
ago at my old brokerage with the broker that I worked
Yep.
with. And Travis came in and he was doing the coaching for all of our new agents who were coming in. So, Travis, would you explain just part of that process when
Yeah.
you go into business coaching as
Yeah,
part of
so
your consulting?
for business coaching, whether it's real estate agents or it's a roofer or it's a wealth manager or it's a doctor's practice, what we often start with is kind of mastery. We want to make sure that your time as the business owner is kind of locked in. We know that time is the most valuable asset. You can't buy more of it. You can't create more of it. You have to be able to master what you have there. So we work on time mastery to make sure that you're working more on your business than you're working in your business.
That's a struggle.
Right, it's an
my
absolute
God, it's
struggle.
a struggle.
So that's the first thing that we do. And then we start talking about finances. Do you have the finances broken down in your business? The number of businesses that I work with that can't tell me how many leads they have or what their conversion rate of leads are or
Their costs of doing business.
right,
Yeah.
they can't tell me those things, and how do we break those apart, start to track them, and then if I tell somebody I want you to be more profitable, that doesn't necessarily mean anything to them. We need to be able to break down the pieces of the formula that go into profitability so that we can actually start working on how do we get more leads, how do we increase conversion, how do we increase the dollar of sale, how do we increase the number of sales.
Because
Right.
most entrepreneurs think,
I just
"Please
need to
ask me to work more."
Yeah, and that's not it. We're asking you to work smarter and set goals. And so we go through that process. Sometimes that takes a couple of months. Sometimes I have a couple of clients that we've been doing it for a couple of years. It just depends. And then we move on. We have a full 6 steps. So we look at your marketing next. We look at your team. We look at your synergies. We look at all of that stuff with the idea of getting them to the point where they have an asset that is sellable and frankly works without them. We want them to have a profitable commercial enterprise that can work without them, so that way they can go take a vacation.
Right.
I don't know any business owner that started a business with the thought process of, I want to be strapped to this thing and never be able to spend time with my family, my kids, any of that type of stuff. And yet somewhere along the lines, that's what it turns into. And so we work to make sure that they get to keep the life that they dreamed when they did this and really build that out. And have
It's like a little creature that just grows into a blob that encompasses you as a business owner. It does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to set boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then specifically, we do some specific training, like for real estate agents, where, and you both can attest to this, you graduate from, I would argue that Champions is probably one of the best, or better certainly, real estate schools here in Houston. You graduate from Champions, and then what? They taught you how to not legally go to jail, but they didn't necessarily teach you how to sell. They didn't teach you how to do the things that you need to do.
They taught you how to pass a test.
Right. Which is what all real estate licensing
Right.
programs are really geared towards doing.
Right.
It's to pass your state and national exam.
And it has nothing to do with how to be a salesperson or how to be a marketer or how to build a personal brand.
It's a sales and marketing job.
Right.
How to set your day.
Right. And so
Yeah.
we work on that, and we spend time working with real estate agents, if they're our clients, in order to get them to that point. And so we do the business coaching, we do some consulting, we do public relations, we do CRMs, so customer relationship management tools. We help them build those
So
out.
you have to have that.
Yeah.
You can't work off memory.
Yeah.
People that say, "Oh, I just work off," you can't do it.
Or your little notebook of phone numbers and
Right.
names.
Right. But even that, like, how do we take it from somebody goes to a page? So, for instance, one of the things that I think that you do brilliantly is, it's not the only thing that you do brilliantly, but one of the things that you do
I
brilliantly.
tell them all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the many things.
One of the things that you do brilliantly is to do the entire ad marketing process around, hey, I just sold your neighbor's house for X amount over market. Let's see if we can do the same thing for you. In building that out, if you're starting to get leads from that, making it automatic so that you don't even have to necessarily pay attention to those leads, to capture them, to retain them, to keep moving them through those 18 steps of conversation that we need to have with them, automating that entire process. And as a real estate agent, it doesn't matter if you're a broker in a brokerage, you are still a solopreneur, and so you've got to figure out how to do that effectively and efficiently, and a lot of that has to be done set and forget, so that way it just happens.
Yeah.
And so we do that in CRMs.
And I know you have a CRM
Yep.
that you offer
Yep.
to your clients as well.
Yep.
And it's actually available to non-coaching
Yep.
clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have that to third parties, anybody that wants it. We actually just started a partnership with a company. It's similar to House Call Pro for service industry, but I would argue that it actually is, it's built more efficiently. One of my clients struggled with House Call Pro. So House Call Pro is a web-based app that people can book appointments with a roofer, plumber, all that type of stuff, and they can keep their book of business in there. It will do all of your invoicing, it will do all of your estimating, it will do all of those types of things. House Call Pro is a great product for smaller teams. There have been some glitches where if you try to bring in an admin to help you with invoicing or whatever, it glitches out or whatever. So we've partnered with this company that does it, that we build into our CRM, where we can get to the level of having an OB2, so that's those little plugins that you plug into your car, in the fuse box. You plug in an OB2, and you can now track where all of your vehicles are at any point in time. You can actually get to the point of knowing whether they're speeding or not.
Oh, wow.
And if I'm a service tech and I'm out doing something at somebody's house and I finish that job early, I can actually pull up a map of all of the open work orders in that area and just go to the next one. I don't have to, it's just, and you can do estimates, we can show, so for an HVAC company, we can actually show all of the different air conditioning units. You can show it on an iPad to the customer, they can pick it, and it creates a menu of services and what that cost would be. We can do service agreements through it, all of that type of stuff for like weekly or monthly maintenance. All of that stuff's built in, and then it sits on top of my platform, and we can do all of your marketing. So your social media marketing, all of your email marketing, all of your re-engagement for people that, it's been a year since you talked to them or 2 years since you talked to them. We can do all of that stuff through the system.
That's what I call the apology tour. If I haven't talked to you in a year or two, I need to start off with an apology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think a lot of businesses might look at this and go, oh my gosh, that is so much stuff. I don't know if I need something that automated for my business. But I will tell you, it is what your competitors are using to market to the same customers.
Yep.
It is. And this is what we're seeing in real estate as well as, there are all these options available, but we have to do those things.
Absolutely.
Because this is what our competitors are doing to get in front of the customer base.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to stay top of mind at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so you mentioned if I haven't talked to somebody in a year, it's the apology tour. One of the things that I do, and it's just a quick win for my clients, there are 13 weeks in a quarter.
Okay.
Just flat. There's 13 weeks in a quarter. There's 26 letters in the alphabet. So if you divide the 26 letters by 13, you get 2. So every week, if you touch all of the A's and B's, and then the C's and D's, and the E's and F's, you will get through your entire client base in a quarter. And then you just rinse and repeat. And so it's an easy way to remember. Week 1 of your quarter, I'm going to touch all the A's and B's. And then if somebody comes on and you're in week 3, so you're in D's and E's and F's, and somebody with last name Abel comes on, well, guess what? You're going to get back to them in 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's a rinse and repeat. It's an easy way to kind of divide your list and conquer it and stay top of mind for everybody.
That's not easy to do.
Mm-mm, it's not.
You have to have systems in place.
Yes.
Like that. Even if it's something as simple as that, you have to have systems in place.
Absolutely.
In order to grow your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So perfect.
What do you feel about email? I mean, I think email, 1, it's free.
Mm-hmm.
2, if you send out knowledgeable stuff, I think it's a huge opening rate as well if you track your numbers.
Yeah. So on email, the few things that we look at is delivery. So if we have somebody out there, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, do not do this, please, for the love of God, do not do this. They go out and they just randomly buy a list of emails.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, don't do that.
Right. How many of those are undeliverable because they're bad email addresses?
Right.
So we look at delivery percentage. The second step of the email funnel really is open rate. The national average for email open rates is somewhere around 23%. The last time I looked, I think yours are somewhere around 50 or 60%. Is that correct?
I think we're hovering in the 30s right now.
Okay.
But it depends. I mean, sometimes I'm in the 40s to 50s. It just...
Yeah.
And on those, we do track the open rate on our batch emails that go out.
Mm-hmm.
And we go, okay, so what subject had the 50, 60% open rate versus the 3% open rate?
Right.
So it changes the way we set up the emails and we notice what is
Right.
Engaging.
So, but that's a really good point because what happens is a lot of people will create 52 weeks worth of emails to go out and then never look to see that week 2 worked really well, but week 3, 4, and 5 didn't work really well.
Floundered, right.
Why? And so figuring those pieces out. And part of that comes down to segmentation. Are we segmenting our population of people correctly so that the message that we're sending resonates with them correctly? Because the last thing we want to do is send the same person the entire same message every time, and then they just completely tune us out. And after week 4, they're like, I'm just going to send you to spam, and you never see them, they never see you, never hear from you. So open rate is the second thing that we look at. The third thing that we look at is click-through. So did they actually interact with your email once they opened it? Did they actually go to one of the blog posts that you have? Did they go to your website? Did they go...
Did you give them something to click on?
Right. And it's funny, that often doesn't happen.
Correct.
Oftentimes you'll get emails and they didn't give you anything to click on. Well, that click, like we talked about 10 minutes ago, is the next step in the funnel. If they don't click on that, they haven't gotten to the next step of the funnel, and you have a wasted opportunity. And so that's really the third thing that we look at. And then if we can track it from there, what revenue came from that email. So we look at all of those things. And frankly, we look at those same things essentially even from paid advertising. If we do paid social media or paid marketing advertising, things like that, we need to look at those same things. Are people interacting with it? What's our cost per click? All of that type of stuff. Otherwise, we're just wasting money.
There's a reason when you come to a business and they ask you that question, how did you hear about us?
Right.
We really want to know how you heard about us so that we can more effectively market in the way where people are becoming more and more familiar with us.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can track your return on investment,
Yeah,
or ROI,
yeah.
and if something's working really well, you can put more capital in that versus whatever's not working for you. You can retract that money and allocate it elsewhere.
Right.
Because there's so many ways to spend money
Oh
in
my God,
advertising
spending
right
money's
now.
easy.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing too is the fact that you have to monitor it on a frequent basis, because you could have found something that worked perfectly and spent $50,000 in marketing on it, and 3 weeks later it's no longer working.
It's irrelevant now. You're
But
correct.
if you didn't pay attention to that, you're still spending $50,000 on something that's getting you nowhere. You need to constantly monitor that so that you can get ahead of that trend and figure out, okay, what's the next thing that's going to work. And I remember when I was little, well, I was never little, but when I was younger, hearing the phrase that fashion is something that's so ugly that it has to change on a daily basis. Marketing is the same thing. Marketing has to change on a daily basis. What worked yesterday will not necessarily work today, and what didn't work yesterday will not be a failure today. It may work today.
It shapeshifts.
Right, and so you've
does.
got to constantly be looking at it, and you need to have 3 or 4 or 5 different oars in the water, and some of them are going to work really well, some of them are not, and you can learn from all of them.
Yes.
Right, we have multiple social media accounts, and something that we post on one social media account, for example, Facebook, does wonderfully. And then all of a sudden you put it on Instagram, the same exact content, and it just nothing. There's crickets.
Yeah, and it's not even just the message, it's the timing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When do you post it on Facebook? When do
Yes.
you post it on Instagram? When do you post it on LinkedIn? When do you do all of those types of things? I think another thing that is very, very helpful in marketing is when I started coaching, as a coach, I'm trying to figure out how to say this nicely.
If you can't, you don't have to say it nicely.
Okay, well, I'm not going to. I would whore myself out to anybody to make $1, right?
Sure.
And
Yes,
so
when you
I
were
was,
coaching.
right.
You just need somebody in front of you.
I need somebody in front of me. I need to make
Yeah.
money. And so I would
Realty
spend
is
all of
the
this
same.
money,
Same.
and then you get to the point where you're like, you know what? If I actually focus my money and my attention on this specific or these 2 or 3 specific things, it gives me the ability to actually focus money on them, and you get a much, much larger return. So while I will argue it's probably the most difficult thing that you can do, trying to figure out what your niche is, where you're good, and
Go narrow,
really
go deep.
yes, and just ride it until you figure it out.
Yep. And just master it.
Yep.
And it is so helpful to have a professional, to have a business coach to work with you, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're not working with a fellow realtor or broker or fellow, you don't have a partner in your business. The one thing we know about the top producers in real estate, they all have coaches.
They're investing in their knowledge.
Richard has a coach, and I'm coached with Richard, but he has a coach. Every top producer in real estate has a coach. And I don't see why it should not be that way in any other business where you have solo entrepreneurs, or you have entrepreneurs in general. Even if you have a partner in your business, you need a coach.
You don't know what you don't know.
No.
Right.
You hit a ceiling, but somebody like Travis will show you exactly how to break through and keep
Yeah.
building your skyscraper.
Yeah.
A lot of people. Oh, I know everything. I don't know everything.
That's the
I
person
know-
who needs to coach the most.
That's the person that really needs to go.
And they're the ones that I'm okay if they don't call me.
And Travis, we have talked about some people are not coachable though.
Absolutely. Some
You
people are
have
not
to be
coachable.
coachable.
Yes.
I mean, you are a coach when it comes to spin classes and things like that.
Right.
You have people in your class at times that you're like,
Are not coachable.
yeah, and it's painful, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said pedal forward.
Yeah,
Forward.
yeah,
Faster too.
yes, yes, exactly. Well, we haven't even gotten out of the saddle. Just if you can pedal, that would be great. It's the same thing. Like, so that kind of leads us to another thing. Like, as real estate agents, as coaches, as service professionals, it is empowering to fire clients.
I tried to do that because if you're not going to listen to me in the presentation,
Yeah.
you're not going to listen to me through the transaction,
Yeah.
and it's not going to get any better.
Right. It's terrifying to do it because you're like, oh gosh, that's 3% of $1 million. That's a lot of money that I'm letting go out the door. But at the same time, it's going to cost you a lot more mentally and emotionally if you don't let them go. And you may not be the right fit for them. There may be a good fit for them out there, and that's okay. Let them go.
Yep.
And it's a challenge, but it's okay.
It is okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what's going on with you guys? How is business going for you guys?
You know, I just ended Q2 books, and we're up 17% over
Very
last
cool.
year.
Very
And last year we finished up over the year before.
Very cool.
So,
What are you seeing market trends from the perspective of slower close cycles, less people, more buyers, less sellers, vice versa?
more time on market.
Okay.
If it's not selling in 1 to 2 weeks, I'm seeing it hovering around 60 to 90 days.
Okay.
I just had a property that took me about 4 or 5 months to sell,
Okay.
but it's, the property had challenges of its own, and it's
Sure.
not that it was a bad property, just some areas move faster than others. Buyers are hypersensitive. So sellers, if you're going to go with the aspirational pricing, the pie in the sky, I don't advise that. Because buyers are very savvy today. I mean, they're really studying the market because they're coming out of the 3 to 4% buyer rate. They think they're paying high interest at 7, which is actually normal historically for the most part. But they're doing a lot of due diligence in making sure that they are getting value when they're putting the deal together.
Because they think 7% is high.
Correct.
They are being pickier about the homes that they're looking at and the homes they're willing to make an offer on. But we did notice there is a relationship between when we're seeing a big gap between what homes that are selling for this week at this price versus what they actually listed for about 30 days ago, 40 days ago. There's a bigger gap, so when we're seeing like 10-15%, so homes are selling for about 85% of what they originally listed for. That days on market is also growing out to about 45-50 days, like what you're saying. But we saw in Richmond, homes were selling at about 98% of what they listed for. Days on market were like 25 days. So like quick. So if they're priced correctly right now, they're moving.
So do you think that that's a pricing? The answer is yes to both of these, but do you think that that's more a pricing thing where the Richmond market has priced more appropriately, or is it Richmond is a more desirable location, so you have a little bit more elasticity in the desire in the pricing in Richmond?
I would say Richmond's going to come in under what it costs to live in Katy, so that does make it more desirable in certain social economics. Richmond is a growing area. Lamar consolidated schools, and that's a great school system today. Katy South's built out, so you're seeing them hop over into Richmond, and I believe that there's a few forces that are helping drive that. But pricing it correctly, that's huge. So that's a savvy seller, and that's a savvy listing agent. So kudos to you guys down there in Richmond, Texas.
Yeah, it's funny. Richmond is one of those places. So I live in Rosenberg, so south of Richmond. Richmond is one of those places that is unique to me in the fact that when I walk out of my house and I cross the street, I'm in Richmond. And what seems like 3 hours later on my way to Katy, I'm still in Richmond. And Richmond is a lot larger than I think people realize.
Huge.
Yeah.
Richmond is a very, very, very large small town.
A lot of the homes that we're seeing that come on the market with a couple of acres attached to it, they're in Richmond.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of land, there's a lot of larger homes, there's a lot of, if you drive around back Richmond, Fulshear, that area, you have some beautiful multi-million-dollar homes that you don't expect to see. And it's beautiful area.
Plantation style homes, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of beautiful properties.
And Fulshear is growing crazily as well. So.
Yeah, Fulshear is a lot of new construction. I think I was telling Richard earlier, maybe it was somebody else, but the last set of numbers that I did for Fulshear, the median year built was 2024. So all 45, 50 homes or whatever that closed in Fulshear this past week, 2024. So.
Commercial property was always priced per square foot. Homes weren't always priced per square foot. You didn't really, that wasn't a conversation that a lot of people had when they were buying homes. I think if you talk to your parents, my parents, they would have said price per square foot wasn't a conversation. When did that trend change on the home side? Do you know?
You know, ever since I started practicing in 01, I've always done it that way.
Okay.
Now I don't.
And maybe
I was
with
also
the,
trained that way
and maybe
too.
with the advent of McMansions, though,
Possibly.
you know, and the proliferation of McMansions,
Yeah.
where you have to sort of justify, like, okay, this house is on the market for $750,000. Yeah, it's 180 per square foot, but it's like what, 5,000, 6,000 square feet now. Whereas homes during a certain period of time, you know, like during the 70s and 80s,
They were all, it was
within,
yep.
but now you can get anything from a 2-bedroom, 2-bath in the 55 plus community, newly built 2025, that's 1,800 square feet, all the way up to what, 8,000, 9,000 square feet in some of these huge houses.
Yeah.
So you're seeing, I think, a bigger range
Spectrum.
of the sizes of homes that are coming onto the market, and that's probably why you're seeing per square foot is a lot more.
Yeah. And the reason I ask that question is because I wonder how often home buyers are actually thinking about the value of that square foot. Yes, it costs more, it
They
costs
don't.
less.
It's a challenge I have.
Yeah.
So
Because like, but my neighbor's house sold for 500,000. It did, but it's also 1,000 square foot bigger than yours.
And their yard is twice the size,
Yes.
Sam.
and they had a pool, and they had yes.
They did the memorial upgrade. They got the courts. They got
Yeah.
this. We still have laminate.
Yes.
We still have Formica.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That
Yes.
should be outlawed, but yes. So
Some builders are still doing that today in 2025.
yeah.
They are.
Yeah. I have a client that is, they do a lot of short-term rental stuff. And so I went with them to Austin 2 weeks ago to actually look at some properties that they were looking to invest in. So they were looking to buy property and then start doing short-term leasing. And I was shocked at some of the places that we would go in. They were studios that were, it was like walking into the Taj Mahal, like travertine tile and like beautiful kitchens, beautiful, and studio.
Which that's small in Texas.
Yeah,
Very small.
That sounds like Austin, though. That sounds like Austin.
And then you would flip to this 3-bedroom
Bungalow.
townhouse.
Oh, townhouse. Okay.
So a nice townhouse, but it was laminate. It was plush carpeting. It was tip, if you're going to do Airbnb, don't do plush carpeting. Don't do carpeting because it's much harder to clean. And so I'm like, it was funny to me the absolute differences between this tiny little apartment that the price per square foot was, $2 or $3 per square foot or whatever it was, I don't even remember, to this larger place, and they were trying to sell it for the same price per square foot. But I'm like, the square foot is much more valuable here because of the fact that it is the Taj Mahal, and I deserve hazard pay because I'm going to have to change this around. And it always kind of cracks me up when I see that, and people don't necessarily think through that process. So, very cool.
And that price per square foot can shift dramatically
Yeah.
from neighbor to neighbor.
Neighborhood to
depending on
neighborhood.
depending on how well they've kept up their home and just all the upgrades they originally had with the home.
Yeah.
You need to keep your house upgraded. That's a mistake a lot of people make. And then they do it all at the end to get it ready for sale.
And they don't think it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And it's because they didn't do it all along.
Yep. Yep.
So it's
Absolutely.
pay as you go.
I think people have to be very conscious of what upgrades they do make, what upgrades are going
Agreed.
to, putting a swimming pool in your backyard is lovely, especially when it's
That's entertainment. That's not an.
right. That's not an upgrade. That's not necessarily gonna do you any good. Now, if you're trying to sell your house in the middle of the summer, it'll probably do you good because people are gonna say, "I want the pool." But if you do it in the middle of winter, probably not.
Yeah.
So it's just it's interesting.
And there are some things that you can do to your home that you are gonna get a return on it, or even better than what you paid. But,
Kitchens and bathrooms.
yeah, kitchens and bathrooms. A pool is not one of them, even in Houston. Though.
Yeah.
You get what, 40 to
absolutely.
60% back on the value typically.
Typically. Yeah.
But bathrooms and kitchens are always very important.
if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so the best way, multitude of ways. TLN Consulting Group on all social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
I'm there too.
Yeah, I haven't done much with it yet, but I'm there.
Dance moves?
No.
Me either.
No.
I'm trying.
Exactly.
I'm trying.
Exactly. I have a Substack that I do a weekly coaching tip on Substack, and so if you go to Substack, you will look for the growth brief and subscribe to that. That's coming out. You'll see that on a weekly basis. And then you can always contact me. My phone number, my personal cell phone number is 614-403-0944. I always do 2 free coaching sessions with anybody before they come on so that we can make sure that we're a good fit for each other.
Sure.
And in that time, we're going to do a 3-year strategic plan for them to walk away with whether they decide to do coaching or not. So I encourage anybody to reach out if they're interested in that. And they can also go to my website, which is tlnconsultinggroup.com, and go from there.
Awesome.
You know, I've done some stuff with Travis. I've met you, 2 years
Yeah.
ago, so highly recommend him. If you would, give him a call. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, if you want to see growth in your business, or maybe you're just brand new to your business and you don't even know where to start, you've plateaued, or maybe you've had the best year ever, and you're thinking, how do I keep this going into the future? This is the man you want to see.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to work with anybody, so just let me know.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
As long as you're coachable.
Yes. If you're not coachable, don't call me.
Yeah.
It was nice to know you.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Perfect.
Bye,
Thanks.
guys.
Bye.
All right. Thanks.